Gary with Junk Removal, Easy Go Junk Removal, and I'm with Austin Hiers of Let It Go Junk in Florida. Austin, tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
What's up, guys? Thank you, Gary, for having me on your channel. Um, my name's Austin. Some of you might know me as Austin Hustler Hires, or the Let It Go Junk Removal guy, or the Fellow Earthlings guy. I go by all kinds of names. So yeah, I own a junk removal business out here in Florida, and I've been doing it for about 6 years now. Me and Gary met through YouTube. Actually, Gary subscribed to me and was one of the first subscribers on my channel, and literally we just started talking and became friends after that. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
It goes a little further than that, Austin. Austin is a very he's quite a bit younger than I am. Let me just put it that way. But I look at Austin as a true mentor. He kind of took me under his wing, along with a couple of other people throughout this beautiful country, and just gave me the ins and outs. Because when I started following him on YouTube, I started having all these questions, and of course, a lot of guys are, go pound sand, leave me alone, kind of thing, but not Austin. Austin answered things very patiently and had an insight to this business, junk removal, that a lot of people don't have, especially at his age. And I immediately, we immediately just clicked. And one of the things Austin did, first thing is, I got my trailer, and he goes, dude, you got to have your numbers marked. You got to have this and that. And I said, yeah, time, give me time and it'll all be happening. The man sent me the letters that I have on my trailer to this day in the mail on his own dime, even with the instructions and everything I needed to put the vinyl on. Do you remember that, Austin?
I totally forgot about that, but I do remember that, and that was that made me feel just as good as it made you feel. I love helping in that way, so that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it was more than awesome. It immediately put me on. It put me on par of anybody driving around with a bill. It even gave me the Facebook and the Instagram logos, and you asked me what color I wanted and all that kind of stuff. At that time, you were doing the your dumpsters and doing your own vinyl work on your dumpsters, and I remember
Right.
that. I go, man, I remember thinking of this. I go, who is this guy, man? He don't know me from Jack. And he's stepped out, and he's done this for me. So like I haven't said before, but thank you very much. So you've always
Yeah,
been,
you're welcome. You're
yeah.
welcome, man. It was my pleasure. That's great memory to like flash back to. I love it. I love it. That was when I just bought my dumpsters, my roll off dumpsters, and yeah, I was vinyling them up. I bought my own vinyl maker or cutter, and I was just super excited just to to have a subscriber, to have somebody that was interested in what I was doing, and then like I just love helping. So yeah, man, it was my pleasure. Like literally, you're so welcome, dude. So welcome.
Yeah. So this is funny because Austin knows what I'm talking about, because on his dumpsters, he personally named each dumpster, and they all have these arms like, oh, and they speak, that was his Let It Go dumpster uh, commercial everywhere he goes. I know you have your hand in so many different types of businesses and stuff. And for a young guy, man, I'm all, it's one of the things I gravitate towards you, is that number one, you have no fear in it. Number two, you see a vision, and you just go after what that you see. So when you started, tell me your story on how you got into junk removal and how you built it to where it is now, that has allowed you to go and do other things.
Okay, yeah. So goes back 6 years ago, and I was a chef for 6 years, and I literally just quit my job. Gave my boss, of course, the 2 week. I gave him 2 months actually to find a new chef and all that, and I was ready to just to start my own business. I literally didn't know when I quit what I was going to start. And I went to work for my mom at her estate sale company. and quickly realized that there was a need for the removal of all the items after the estate sale was done. And so I offered to do that, to buy a trailer, buy a truck, and start removing all the items. In the end, I did it for free. And I was literally selling the items. I was having a garage sale every other weekend. That's how I was making all my money. And
Testify.
it was crazy. And so eventually I put up like this little ad on Craigslist and was like, hey, can I make some money from this? And I said $90 for like a full load or some crap like that. And it was a small 12-foot long trailer with like 2-foot walls, no, not a dump trailer or anything, tandem axle. And so I had my first call one day. I was like, hey, I have all this scrap metal. You know, I saw this for $90. You can come pick it all up. So I went and picked it up for $90. And then I went to the scrapyard and sold the scrap metal for like another $80 or $90. So my first job, I almost made $200 from. And that was what I was making a day as a chef. So I was like, wow, I just did this in like 2 hours. And I would work 14 hours a day as a chef to make $200. I was blown away. And so I started blasting those Craigslist ads. I made a Facebook, I made an Instagram, I made all the social medias. I was never a social media guy. Never. I never had Facebook. And I knew that I needed to do that for my business. So I went ahead and did it, and the business just slowly started coming in. Before you know it, I was making, $800 a week doing 3 jobs. And I was so excited. From there, I saved my money and I bought dump trailers, and I started renting those out because I knew that I wasn't going to make enough junk removal business to keep those things going. So I was like, well, let me rent them out. It was always like, okay, let's add this to the business since I have this now. If you have new assets, you can add new products or new services to your business. And so that's what I've always done, is just add. And after I started renting, I was still doing junk removal. By this point, I was making, maybe $400 a day. And that was amazing. Like, I was blown away. So I got more legit. I got business insurance, and I purchased the actual business name, and I started getting the actual business built up legitly. I hired an accountant, and from there it just grew. It just kept blossoming and blossoming. And of course, we had these ebbs and flows. It wasn't like just straight up. We just had, it was like this, and then up a little more, down more, up a little more, down more, and it's still doing that to this day. Every time we go down, we go up more. And that's like one of the main things I want to stress, is like when you're starting a business. And that's what I always realize, is that I'm going to come back from this down, and I'm going to come back stronger, because while I'm down, I'm making things happen. I'm fixing things. I'm repairing things. I'm just processing. What can I do? What can I do better? What can I do to make more money? Right. So after a while, I bought some roll-off dumpsters, and I bought a roll-off trailer. And then I sold my dump truck. That was just a regular, dump box truck. Sure. I bought a roll-off truck. So now I have a roll-off trailer, roll-off truck, 8 roll-off dumpsters. And this is where I'm at today. 2 years ago, I also thought about, let me start a rage room. And as you can see by the hat, I did that. I took the junk. Like, this is about, adding on. What kind of service can you add on? I have junk, right? What can I do with junk? I can have people pay to smash it. Oh, let me do that crap. Let me make it happen. And it took me 2 years to find a building and figure all that stuff out. And so I made it happen. I started a rage room, and now my junk makes a pit stop before it goes to the landfill and makes me more money.
See, this is the thing I like about that, because you and I have been in contact throughout since we've connected. And when you told me about it, I'm going, okay, it's in the middle of COVID that he did this.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine that everybody around you go, are you out of your mind? But you just kept your number one, and you and I agree here, you got to have a vision, right? And you kept that vision. And the beautiful thing, Austin, is it's connected to your other business. and
Right.
it's just a product of a product, and you're just constantly adding on, aren't you?
Right, right. It's so true, man. It's to this day, I'm like, wow, thank God I had that idea because it I haven't even paid myself out of that business yet. Rage Room. It's the
Right.
money's just stacking up. I haven't paid anybody out of it. Me and my wife take care of it on our own. We haven't even hired anybody yet, and that money is literally just stacking up right now until I have enough to maybe buy my own building instead of rent a building, or who knows where I'm going to go from here. But that's all extra money right now. The junk removal pays my salary, pays my wife, it pays, all my employees, which is 2 employees right now. But I'm grateful for those two. It's hard to find people. We'll get talking about that, right?
Yeah, I
Some
want to talk
employees.
about that. Yeah.
Um, so that's where I'm at right now, man. I got the junk removal and the rage room thing just kind of working perfectly together. And I'm just so grateful to be like where I'm at and to have had these ideas just pop up. Like, I found Rage Room on YouTube, and I wouldn't have found that on YouTube unless I became a YouTuber and started making videos.
All connected, ain't it?
Yeah, it all just really connects, and you got to give some of that to the man upstairs,
Mhm.
and thank him for sure. So yeah, that's where I came from, 6 years ago, and this is where I'm at now. It's been a very very hard and long road.
When you hire employees, what is the down part of that? Because everybody wants to work for themselves, right? But I don't think anybody really, very few people, I shouldn't say anybody, I did, and I know you did, and
Right,
I'm after talking to him, I know he did, count the cost. What is it gonna take to actually work for myself? It's real secure to have a job and just punch in and punch out, punch in and punch out. But it takes a special animal to actually step away from that and take all the responsibility on your shoulders and
mm,
uh, start making things happen on your own. Tell me
right.
about your process, the ups, the downs, the employees versus no employees, etc.
Yeah, so that's great question, Gary, because like everybody wants to how maybe not everybody, some people are comfortable working for other people, but a lot of people see their bosses and they want to be that. They see, oh wow, it's so easy, I do all his work and he makes all the money. And it's so easy to look at it that way until you actually become an owner of your own business. I'm guilty of this. When I saw my boss, I was like, wow, I'm making him 4 million a year. I counted the money every night, and and I was like, yeah, I cook all the food. I do everything. He's buying condominiums and going on vacations, and everything's so easy for him. But like when you start your own business, you get out there and you actually start it, and you start to see that you yourself, you have to do 10 times the work that you were doing for somebody else, 10 times, because you don't see all the back end stuff. And that's what you will quickly realize starting your own business. And so I did. But fortunately for me, I'm good under pressure, and I'm good with like problem solving. So every time something came up, I either hired out, or I found a online solution, or like there's so many things that can help you as a entrepreneur, like move up without you actually doing the work. But you have to find those things out, and you literally have to work 10 times harder for yourself to build a business up to that point where you were like, oh, I want to be like this boss. He worked his butt off to get there.
So
The rat.
all that mechanism is literally standing on the foundation that these people actually dug and
Mm,
poured and made sure it could
right.
bear the weight of what they build. And then you come along and all you see is the top part and say, man, this
That's
this
it.
crib this crib is nice, man. He's got this, he's got that. But in reality, the crib wouldn't hold if he hadn't done all that previous work to make
Blood,
sure.
sweat, and tears.
Yeah. What are the problems that you run into with employees? Just, I mean,
Yeah.
your basic issues.
Yeah. So like a lot of the issues with employees are um, like listen, like having an employee actually listen to what you're saying and understand what you're saying when you're trying to teach them. So it's about like how good you are as a leader and how good they are as a student, as someone that can pick things up. And that's the hardest part for me is like I feel like I'm a good leader, but then at the same time I'm a worse leader than I think I am. That's just all truth
Just
because
honesty coming out here, man.
I gotta be honest. I've developed a lot of knowledge about myself trying to hire people, and it's about like really clearly passing it on to them without becoming a friend, a
Yeah,
real, you know, it's really hard not to become that friend boss. Become their friend, they get comfortable, and once they get comfortable they lose the desire to work hard, to show you that they're the best, to show you that they could be as good as you. And I guess my problem is too, I don't exactly know how to do this yet, but like I want to teach people how to be in my position so that I can step away and do my other things, you know, my other ventures. And like,
those are called key employees, and you need them.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, exactly. Key employees. That's the nail on the head right there. And it's hard for me to find those key employees. And then, you know, what's even harder is when you know that this guy that you have hired after 6 months is not that key employee. It's so hard for me to just get rid of him because I am the nice guy. I get taken advantage of. I get these guys that are not the key employees. I'm paying them like they're a key employee, but they're acting like the nonchalant whatever. I'm just here to come to work and go home type of employee. And that's the hardest part is to get someone to step up, to get someone to realize that you have to do the work before you get paid for that work, you know?
And prove yourself.
Prove yourself, right?
Right.
And that's the hardest thing, Gary. That's literally the biggest struggle with employees is them like stealing stuff, losing stuff, you know, dumping your dollies when it comes to junk removal. You sometimes put the dolly in the back of the truck if you don't have like a specific spot for it. They rip your tarps up because they're just not giving a crap when they're taking it off. They ruin your trucks because they're driving them like they stole them instead of like they're their own. Like, you know, you spend $40,000 on a vehicle and they go drive it like they stole it. But if they spent $40,000, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna clean that truck every day. They're gonna treat that thing like a baby.
You told me a story offline here when we were
Oh,
just kind of talking.
you want me to
And
tell that?
yeah, please do, because
Okay.
that's like to me like, oh my God.
Yes. All right. So perfect prime example, guys. It's like, all right, I this was years ago, a couple of years, 3 years ago. Had this guy, gentleman, working for me, and he went out, worked all day, did all the jobs, made all the money, and he was pulling into the yard. And I always come out at the end of the day to like, you know, see how everything went, blah blah blah. And so he was backing in past me. I'm standing right here. He's backing in past me, and my jaw just drops. I'm like, you know, and he pulls back to where he can like see me, and I'm like looking at him like, you know, what the crap, dude? What's going on? And he's like, what? He turns the truck off, puts it in park, turns it off, comes back there where I'm walking towards, like, dude, what is this? What in the world happened? And the whole hubcap, tire, rim, everything on the right side, one of the tires was just gone. It was just missing. It was just sitting, it was tandem axle, so it was only sitting on one tire on one side. The trailer was squatting like this, and I'm like, how did this happen? He's like, I didn't even know that happened. That's what can happen. They can get so comfortable they don't even pay attention to what they're doing. And that's what I was sharing with you earlier, man. It's a crazy world out there to hire employees to drive your equipment, whether it's expensive or not. Everything's expensive to fix if it could have been prevented. That's the way I
So
look at it.
it's funny because I'm trying to do a series on all the people that have mentored me, and you're one, of course, Matthew, and JoJo out there in California, and the other guy, another man, is Joseph Martinez out in Virginia, and he always talks about when he gets up the first thing in the morning, his guys check the oil, checks the air, checks. He's got a checklist, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
you must have that in
Mm-hmm.
as a precaution, and that means that they're just not doing it.
Gary, over the past couple of years, I've developed this junk removal Bible, and it is from the start of the day to the end of the day, and it has everything from junk removal to the tools to dumpster rental, how to do that, how to do this, what you need to bring for this job, everything, how to sell the job, how to greet the customer, how to get the review. I mean, I've built this thing out.
Right.
And it's step by step. So it's literally like first things first, second things second, and all the maintenance is in there. It was skipped over. I can tell you that my guys right now, they come in, they don't even look at it. It's right there on their cell phones, Gary, and they don't even look at it.
They don't
And
mind taking the check though, right?
they don't mind taking the check. Yeah, they text me. Like one of my guys gets paid on Wednesday because he's a part-time guy. So I don't make him wait till the end of the week. I just pay him Wednesday. And he's always right after work, whether I'm there or not. Hey, can you go ahead and text? Can you send me the money? Can you write me a check? And I'm just like, dude, like, you know, where are all the things that I need done? And I know I need to pay, right? I promised I'm going to pay it, but it gets to the point where it's like you remember your pay, but you can't remember to grab the dolly off the floor, and not leave it at. They've lost like three of my dollies since they've been here.
Yep.
Uh, but they pay for it. They know that it's coming out of their check. I've made that very clear to everybody that gets hired. You lose my stuff, you pay for my stuff.
You have to find that key guy or gal that actually can run that crew, a crew chief, who can, who will make sure that the things that you need to have looked after. I mean, good Lord, if you don't check that oil, you got a $4,000 or $5,000 engine just in gas, right? A gas engine.
Boom, blown
Well,
up.
it's a done deal. And that real, you'll be driving a U-Haul for the next, 5 weeks.
I've rented those Home Depot trucks
Yep.
and use those to tow my trailers and stuff. And oh my gosh, it was crazy because the employees forgot to do something on the truck and it broke somehow, or they were just being stupid with it. All this equipment that us junk removal people are buying and using, it's all metal, and metal's getting way more expensive right now. So the price is going up. So speaking of that, all of our maintenance costs, our fuel, everything's going up right now. People should be raising their prices just a little bit right now to match that.
Right.
I've done that. I've even done that in the rage room recently to help like kind of cover that. Like basically I'm charging more for the rages just because it costs me more to get the junk to the rage room.
Sure.
Fuel is going way up. So yeah, whenever your price adjusts on the outside, you got to adjust on the inside how you handle that. But I'd like to mention that as always.
I've already raised my prices a little bit, and I can see it, the gas and the fuel and the oil changes and everything else, tires, because everything goes up. I can see it going up again rather quickly because the inflation rate is waiting for nobody. I mean, Safeways or Publix in your area, they have no choice but to raise it because they're buying it on the spot. And you can't just hold on to the past when things are actually fluid. In our business, things are very fluid. So the realities are our dump rates just went up. Uh, everything's going up. There isn't anything that's not going up. Let's finish this up a little bit here.
All right.
So you built this to 2 employees. I think at times you've had up to 4.
Yep.
What are your goals from here on? I mean, is this something you're staying with? You're gonna keep rolling with, or what are your goals?
Okay, so I mean that's a good question, and it gets outside of junk removal, because I my goal in life is to be a full-time YouTuber, And you know, anybody that has followed me and you know that I'm not doing junk removal videos anymore. I'm doing strictly entertainment. So like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I'm building this YouTube business like it's a business, and I'm learning all about it. So my goals from here are to become a full-time YouTuber. I want my junk removal business to stand on its own, and I want my rage room business to stand on its own, whether it's 2 employees for the rest of its life or whatever. But I don't want to have to be there micromanaging it, and you know, I do my best not to micromanage anyway. But I don't want to be there making all the solutions, right? You know what I'm saying? I want them to be able to come up with solutions on their own, and run the business successfully and profitably, and as respectfully as far as towards our customers as possible. If I have a business that was built in my name, and I leave it to these guys, and they're going out there, and I'm getting all of a sudden bad reviews. I've never had one review that's lower than 5 stars, not one. And I think you're the same. And
I have one of my best reviews gave me a 4 star. So I do. I have 155 in 10 months, 10 months.
that's
And they
still 5 stars. You
give
still
me a
got 5.
4 star, man. It's but you know what? That I totally understand the part where you're building this. This is Austin Hiers. This is his company, his blood, sweat, and tears. You don't want to be number one, Mr. Solution. You don't want to be the fireman putting out fires every day. So
Right.
what it comes down to, and I can see this in my past, is putting somebody with who is vested in what you've put together. That it is fun working for Let It Go Junk.
Correct, correct. Yeah, I will. And one thing I learned about bonuses, real quick, since you brought that up, is I talked to somebody recently, and I used to, you know, when I find big cash bundles or whatever, I'll give them bonuses like right away, out of that. But what I learned is that that is also creating a comfortable feeling for them. It's
No
like,
fair.
right? As soon as you get money, oh, Austin's paying me a bonus. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what I've done now is create a bank account, and every time we find money or silver or gold or anything I create extra cash or wealth with, I put it
Yep.
in that bank account. At the end of the year, I give them their bonuses. And that's it. And so they can expect a bonus if they stay with me for the year, and they deserved it and earned it. And that way I get this whole year to figure out what are they worth? What is their bonus worth? Did they earn this much? Did this guy earn more than this much? Does he deserve more than, you know, because some of the guys deserve more bonus than the other guy. It's not fair if I'm giving them all an even bonus all at the same time, and then they're all comfortable as hell.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had to bring that up. I changed my whole outlook on bonuses when I find extra money for the business.
Sure.
And
Yeah, it's
so,
interesting that you say that because a friend of mine who does Rocky's cleanouts up in Denver, junk guy, and he's big time. And he said something that really, because he runs a pretty tight crew. And I asked him how he does it. And he goes, well, first of all, I pay him extremely well. He goes, Gary, they see the money coming in. They collect it for me. They see the money coming in. If you don't treat them right, they're just gonna dog you. And I think he's correct with that. I mean, if they're you're out and you do 5 jobs or whatever with the two trucks that you have, and people are bringing in 5 grand on a day or whatever, they
right,
start seeing that come in. I can see resentment coming in. So
right.
he says he treats them right. He makes sure they got pizzas and things like that. And those are the little things that really do
Mhm.
make a difference. If you are constantly thinking of the guys, making sure that they're taken care of, making sure that they get the pick of whatever comes off of the truck if they want. He told me personally, he goes, most of their houses have been furnished by the stuff that they get. And
Right.
they get pick of I mean, if there's a nice leather couch and sofa, coming off,
Yep.
they get that. And so
Right.
he treats them extremely well. And I think that's smart. I don't know how you fight where there's just a moral decay where, they'll rip you off. You give them a gas card and they're filling their cars up. They're not checking your oils. They're not checking your tires. They're not checking the trailers. They're not checking it.
Right.
There's that, I don't know. There's
And
that.
if you're paying them well, they're not the right person. So that's where, like I
Well,
said, You got to bye, goodbye. And even though you as a boss, you don't want to go through all the training and this and that, that's part of being a boss, part of being the owner. So you have to keep going through that until you find the right guy that's going to treat your stuff right, and then you pay him right. You know, and my guy, like my main guy right now, his whole place is furnished by me. I mean, from the big screen TV he's got, the bed, the TV stand, everything he's got, and I pay him well, but there's a lot of that stuff. Not checking this, not checking that, not remembering this, not following my junk removal Bible manual that I created.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, am I being a pushover?
Right. Well, only you can answer that.
Right. And that's why I just
It's time
question
to,
mark.
in my day, we call that a come to Jesus moment.
Yes.
I'm serious, man. He says,
Yes.
okay,
No.
man, you and me, we got to talk, and we're going to go talk down by the river because you're either
Mhm.
going to get baptized or drown.
Right. Yeah.
Because
No.
I mean, otherwise, I mean, they can blow up a $40,000 vehicle on you in a heartbeat. They can, if they don't know what they're doing, they can back into something because they're not, you know, they don't got their wits. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
It's all part of that. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I know you and I have talked on the phone for hours, and
Yes.
I consider you a very good friend of mine, and I appreciate you coming on here and just giving us a little insight on this part of your world, even though your world is expanding all the time. And that's one of the things I love. I absolutely love about you is you've you see big pictures and you're not afraid to go after them. And I guess that's one of the reasons I wanted you on here is that you went after the junk thing, you're successful at it, and I want you to inspire other people when they're out there doing the same thing.
Yes, I'm glad to be on, man, and you've become a really good friend. I would say one of my best friends, even though I've never met you in person. I
Isn't
really
that a
feel
trip? We were like an hour and
true.
a half away from each other, man.
Yes, dude. And you know, we both were just busy, and that's the thing. But I do truly think of you as one of my best friends, and
I
I
heard that. Same here.
I grew up with people that I talk to less than I talk to you. So it was a pleasure being on, and
I
thank you. Thank you for
appreciate
having
that.
me.
I appreciate it. And I love your name. It's one of the best ones out there. Let It Go Junk, guys. They're in Florida. Where are you in Florida?
We're in DeLand near Daytona.
So just a side note here, real quick. He's in a very small town, and for him to do what he's been able to do with the junk removal business, if he can do it, anybody
Anybody,
can do it.
anybody can. Correct, correct. So true. I have 2,000 people in my town.
Yep. And look at him now, man. Austin, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Uh, stay in touch, brother.
Anytime.